Hi, Mike Gould here, Mayor of Hounds Town, USA, home to the happiest dogs on earth. Welcome to Hounds Town Television. This is our video podcast of our franchise system. Joining me today is the very lovely Jackie Bondanza, president of Hounds Town, USA, and our friend, our flea taxi, Canito, straight from the San Juan, Puerto Rico. He's joining us today, as always. We'll see how patient he is. Yes. So welcome to our holiday show, a show about our franchise system. So, Jackie, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're actually going to be focusing on 5 tips to adopting a dog for the holidays. You know, a lot of people want to adopt or purchase a dog for the upcoming holiday. And, you know, there are several things that we recommend people do and don't do to make the adoption successful. But before we get into that, you know, I think now that it's the end of the year, we've had a fantastic year here at Hounds Town, USA for our franchise system. We've added, I think, seven locations just in this year.
Yeah,
so we have
our size.
two locations in Jersey now, one in Bergen County and one near Atlantic City. And we're also going to be opening in Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, and Pittsburgh. So we're very happy to close out the year being so successful and bringing all of our new franchisees into the system. Right. And we'll, of course, keep everybody updated on the status of those locations through the new year and next year. And for any information, by the way, on Hounds Town, go to houndstownusa.com. We have all the information you need on all of our services: doggy daycare, boarding, grooming, pet taxi, retail. And if you're interested in a franchise, joining our booming pet care system,
booming.
Make sure you go to houndstownfranchise.com. We've got all the info you need to get the process started on becoming a member of our team.
And one thing, of course, I would like to add, we wouldn't be expanding and we would not have had 1 million dogs come through our system since our inception if it wasn't for our customers.
Oh, 100%, yes.
Obviously, they are truly the backbone of our system, especially the ones that have really embraced Hounds Town. They realize that we are a family and we don't exploit people.
Right.
And they come and their dogs hump, jump, and dump, as I say, things they're not allowed to do at home.
Right.
They come to Hounds Town in a very safe and secure environment, sanitary environment, and they can do things that they would normally get yelled at home. So,
and you know, we just filmed a couple marketing videos last week, and we got a bunch of testimonials from our corporate location at Hounds Town, Ronkonkoma. And so listen to that, to listen to the customers talk about us. You know, they really do view us as family members, and even 3 of them even said if it were not for Hounds Town, they wouldn't be able to have a dog. Because, you know, they go to work 10, 12, 15 hours a day. They need to be out of the house, and they just see the tremendous value in what we do and what we offer. So we're, of course, looking forward to bringing that to every community out there across the country, really.
Every city I visit, there's an absolute need, and there's a void in quality daycare. Quality. Everybody has a definition of daycare. Daycare could mean, I'll take your dog, put him in a kennel for the day, come back later. Right. Ours is fully interactive daycare, and we don't breed discriminate. And that's one of the things that really is I find very offensive. 2 things: breed discrimination and exploiting customers to try to make a couple of dollars.
Right.
We provide very straightforward pricing, and we fully interactive, meaning the dogs get put in place groups by size, age, and temperament. And as we've said in the past, we've taken care of blind dogs, deaf dogs, 3-legged dogs. Actually, you told the story last time about a dog in a wheelchair that goes to our Farmingdale location.
Yes, a little dog named Scooter, who got turned away from a corporate pet care facility, and her owner came in, you know, upset and crying that this dog got turned away. So anyway, yes, he was able to come in and play and get the attention that he needed. So that obviously is a great story.
Right.
But let's move on to our
tips.
So our five tips for a successful adoption. If you're considering adopting a pet this holiday season or purchasing one from a reputable breeder, there are really some things that you need to think through before you make that decision for your family. So, and inevitably every January you particularly will get hundreds and hundreds of phone calls from people who have adopted or bought a pet for the holidays for whatever reason and need help. that kind of honeymoon period is over. It's 2 or 3 weeks in, and the dog's peeing and chewing and barking and jumping,
right.
and they don't know what to do.
Right.
So the first tip is to understand the commitment that comes with adopting a dog. And it sounds simple and it sounds logical, but a lot of people don't really, I think about this fully. A lot of people adopt a pet for a child, or because their 7, 8, 9-year-old wants a dog. And we've seen it firsthand about how that can really be detrimental not only to the family member, but to the dog. So can you explain a little bit about why understanding the commitment of a dog is so important?
Right. So I guess people misunderstanding of a dog's needs, and that's one thing we do very well at Hounds Town, USA. So we understand that your child it might be a time in their life that they're ready for a pet, but rarely, if ever, is an 8 or 10-year-old child after, like Jackie said, this honeymoon phase of having the dog for a week or two, are going to be picking up the dog poop? Are they going to be, their interest is going to wane. So this is not for children. They can be obviously part of the process, but when I hear somebody saying, my 8-year-old wants a poodle or whatever it is, it's a red flag, number one, because in 2 or 3 weeks or months, as the dog matures, it's going to be a different dog. So, of course, you have to adopt for the right reasons and not project things, not because you had a dog that looked like this dog when you were a child and you think it's going to behave that way.
Right.
So you have to adopt for the right reasons and don't overthink it, but also understand the financial responsibility, the fact that you're the veterinary care, training in many cases.
That's always something that's like really overlooked, is the training, especially by a lot of rescues and shelters. And I know they're underfunded, but for some reason, a lot of people tend to skip this training and investing money in tending to the dog's like behavioral and psychological needs, which is of course what we do best.
Right. So we see all the time, as Jackie said, 95% of our pet owners are these wonderful people. They buy the best beds, the best collars, the best organic, whatever they think their human brain thinks is right. Very rarely, if ever, do anybody consider the education of the dog and the dog brain and its particular needs. And we understand this completely. We understand dogs live 18 inches off the ground. Our facilities are designed that way. So at home, if you have a dog now around the holidays and all of a sudden a tree pops up in your living room with balls hanging off of it and your dog urinates on it or knocks the tree down, and people start yelling and screaming, they don't understand. This is very natural.
Right. The dog just sees a tree and he's peeing on it.
And balls. So. What? They see balls and they go after the balls, right? Dogs chase balls.
Right, it's a toy for them, right?
It's a toy. Yeah. That's my point, Jackie. It's a toy.
Well, so this is a good segue into the next tip, which is set boundaries from day one. And this is something that that is so critical. This is probably our most critical tip, because people, when they bring a dog into the home, they don't necessarily understand the difference between a child and a dog, and that dogs are denning pack animals, and they need a leader in order to feel safe and secure. So when a dog is sort of free roaming around the house and has no boundaries at all, that's when these behaviors begin to develop. Barking, jumping, growling, territorial issues.
Right. So, so we talk about you reap what you sow. So you have a young puppy, so it's not uncommon to bring the puppy onto the couch or into the bed with you. 6 months later, this 30-pound dog or 20-pound dog may be 80 pounds, and now you're going to be screaming at him when company comes over. So
and it confuses the dog.
It's completely confusing, and the inconsistency, in my view, is very unfair, actually. So I look at it as actually somewhat abusive when you scream and yell, and people call me a week before Thanksgiving and say, I'm having company, and the dog begs at the table. If the dog never begs at the table from the moment you bring him home, he doesn't go on your couch from the moment he's not going to do it when he's 1 or 2 years older, once you set those behaviors.
So it's unfair to expect the dog to respect those boundaries when he's allowed to do it every other time of the year. Right.
So inconsistency. If the doorbell rings and your dog goes ballistic, if you're walking him down the street and he's dragging you because he sees another dog, these are behaviors that really you should get a hold of, because it's not something the dog wants to do. The dog doesn't want to be the guardian of your house. You need to be the guardian of your house, just like your children aren't the guardian. So we have a way at Hounds Town USA of teaching people what the needs of the dogs are. we know what your needs are. You want a dog to be there for unconditional love. But they also have their own specific needs.
Right, and part of that need is interacting in a pack environment with other dogs. Dogs are social pack animals. They need to be around other dogs for a lot of different reasons. Not only for the physical benefits of it, but for the psychological benefits of it. It's just like if we lived in a world of dogs and the dogs adopted a baby or a human, you would miss that other relationship with your fellow humans. So it's important to give dogs that, and on a regular basis. And that can mean bringing your dog to doggy daycare 1, 2, 3, 4 times a week. And it helps just develop the dog's a very balanced life for the dog.
Well, the fact that we understand the dog needs, the dogs can have an experience that's natural for them. It's like taking children to the playground. They can run around, they can get dirty, they can do this without the humans screaming at them and yelling at them. So what dogs do at doggy daycare, which I describe as hump, jump, and dump, they may not be allowed to do that at home. That is unwarranted behavior. You don't want dogs doing that at home, just like you don't want your children playing maybe in the kitchen. So you come to our environment, it's safe, where dogs of all shapes and sizes. So understanding the dog brain is what we offer, educating our customers, not exploiting them.
Right.
What else you got?
Well, we've got to actually take a quick break, but when we come back from the break, we'll finish up our 3 tips, and we're also going to talk about a dog named Zeus, who was driving his parents crazy for many years, and he just met Mike, and he's living a much happier life. So he's a really good example of what we're talking about. Right. So we'll be right back after the break.
Hi, Mike Gould here, Mayor of Hounds Town, USA, home to the happiest dogs on earth. We have fully interactive doggy daycare, safe and secure overnight camping, professional grooming, expert training for your dog. Come.
Don't leave your pet home alone. Have a happy and well-exercised dog with a visit to Hounds Town, USA. Visit us online at houndstownusa.com for a location near you.
Call today. Tell them the mayor sent you. Get a free trial day.
Hi, Mike Gould, Mayor of Hounds Town, USA. We're back with our second segment on our holiday edition, and we're talking about 5 tips. The first 3, and then we're going to talk.
We're talking about 5 tips for adopting or rescuing a dog for the
5 tips.
There's a lot of tips.
5 tips about, I don't know. All right. So, 5 tips about adopting a dog. When people adopt dogs for the wrong reason, they end up in the shelter at best and sometimes euthanized at worst because of the mismanagement of the dog and humans' expectations of what a dog should be. And we talked about if you get the dog for the wrong reasons. A child wants the dog. You had a dog, a German Shepherd, when you were a child, and you expect that dog to be like your childhood pet. Wrong. We left off at number 3,
which is respect the dog's space. So just like us humans, no dog wants their space invaded, but we tend to do this with dogs. We go up to kiss them or hug them, and sometimes that's when the dog reacts. So a dog only has one way to resolve his conflict, and that's with his mouth. You always say they don't have opposing thumbs. They can't call 911. They can't use their voice to say, please get away from me. Right. So their only way to resolve conflict is with their mouth. And they don't always mean to inflict harm. They just, they are perceiving the invasion as some sort of threat. Right. So this is a lot of times why children get bit.
Right. Well, children, 10-year-old children, statistically are the number 1 victim of dog bites. Number 1, they're lower to the ground. Therefore, their face is lowered to the ground, which makes this matter worse. I mean, if a dog nips you in the butt or the leg or the arm, that's one thing. But if a dog nips a child in the face, it's tragic. Yeah. I see it all the time. I try to explain to humans, either in a courtroom or in training seminars, why these things occur. I will tell you this. It's never the dog's fault. Never. And as I said, I testify in cases involving dogs all over the country. There's never a circumstance that you could tell me that the dog was responsible. The dog is like a 2 or 3-year-old child. So the funny thing is, Jackie, that most people understand this. If you were at the mall walking with your 3-year-old child and a nut job like me came up to try to hug your child and say, oh, it looks like
Right.
my grandchild, and pinch it. So space and distance is very intimidating to a dog. When you invade somebody's space, you either push them away. We, with humans, with opposing thumbs, we could actually say, please, you're invading my space. So there's a natural boundary. When you violate a dog's space, as Jackie said, the only mechanism they have to resolve conflict is nipping. So that, of course, is tragic. And, of course, at the end of the day, it's a family tragedy, human tragedy. Mm-hmm. But what happens to the dog? And this is what infuriates me.
The dog is the one that suffers, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. That's a big one.
So that's a huge one. I think, especially if you have children in your home, it's so important to have like a family meeting before the dog comes into your dynamic, to explain to children what the boundaries for the dog are. You know, we are big fans of we call them dens. Some people call them crates.
Right.
A crate for a dog is a safe space. So it's like your bedroom. So having and using a crate for the dog is if you use it the right way and you never use it for punishment, it's actually super important to making sure that the dog feels comfortable in your house.
Right.
So the fourth tip is don't anthropomorphize.
Right. Anthropomorphize. That's a very big word that in the dog world we're very familiar with. So anthropomorphism is putting human emotions and expectations and behaviors on an animal.
Right.
So this is a big problem. So at Hounds Town, we bridge the gap from human emotion, dog emotion, human needs, and dog needs. There's a big valley there. Obviously, we're all mammals, so we share certain emotions. We do.
Right.
Dogs are not as complicated. So they don't have the same needs as humans think they need, and that is a big mistake.
And a lot of times their behavior is misinterpreted, or we as humans will say, oh, he's barking at the mailman, he must have been abused by a mailman, he must dislike the mailman, he must, I don't know. The brain tends to make sort of these narratives that aren't necessarily true. So when you take out that element of treating the dog like a human, and you realize that the dog is an animal that has very different needs than we do, and one of those needs is to interact in a natural pack environment on a regular basis, that really helps the behavior at home as well. It helps address separation anxiety and chewing, jumping. It helps ease their energy level. We've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times with our customers.
Because it's natural, it's an outlet. So even service dogs, you see guide dogs, therapy dogs, they still need an outlet to be a dog.
Right.
They can't be 24/7 guide dogs. They can't be 24/7. Just think about that as your own 2 or 3-year-old child. Everyone knows a 3-year-old child. That's it. It doesn't get more advanced than that. Their neocortex, their brain doesn't evolve and grow. They don't go to college. So they're at our mercy. Many times I consider them our hostage, right? We all think we're wonderful pet owners. I think I'm a wonderful parent. But if you talk to my children, they might have a difference of opinion. So the anthropomorphic gap is what we really try to educate and drive home to our customers.
Right. And the last tip is appreciate the dog for who he is. So a lot of people, and we get this call a lot, well, I had a dog when I was a child and he didn't act like this. Or, my old dog Buster used to be really good with my children, but this is not the same dog. Just like no human is the same, no dog is the same. And every dog has a different personality. They have different anxieties and fears, and it's important to really understand that and to appreciate the dog for who he is. And, not all the time is the dog going to want to lay on the couch with you or be a part of the human world. So he should be respected for that.
Right. And don't project your emotional needs. I mean, this is another kind of pet peeve, no pun intended. But when humans, we're complicated. Humans are complicated with complicated emotions. Dogs are much simpler. They're emotional beings, of course, but they're not ambiguous emotions. A dog is either safe and secure. He'll love you when you come home, whether you've been out, whatever you've been doing. They're not going to question you as long as you treat them with the same level of respect as when you left. So, but don't make more of it. They can't meet every one of our emotional needs.
Right.
You pet them, their tail wags, and that should make you feel happy. It releases pheromones in our brain, and that
sounds like a made-up word.
It's pheromones. I don't think it is. I think it's oxytocin, actually.
Yes, you're right.
Thank you, Jackie. So
there was just a study about this.
Well, of course, that's what makes us happy.
Right.
But the human brain has this big cauliflower neocortex, and an animal brain doesn't. It just has not evolved. They're closer to a wolf than they are human, for certain. And as Jackie said, they can't stand up. So our world is built up here. So how do they get up here? They jump. And what do? You scream at them. Or you start moving food around, and you have this drama and these crazy rituals at home.
Right. So those are our 5 tips. Hopefully they're helpful for some of you or people if you're thinking of adopting a dog into your family this holiday season. So now it's time for our bonus segment. And this is actually a great time to bring up this dog named Zeus. So Zeus is a 3 or 4-year-old lab. He was crazy, wild, energetic. He counter-surfed. He jumped. He wouldn't come when called. The owner was so at her wit's end that she called us a couple weeks ago and she said, she was in tears and she said, I just don't know what I'm going to do about this dog. She has a small child at home. The dog became completely unmanageable to her. She had other trainers in the house and nothing was working. So Mike went over to the house and did a 1.5 hour session with her, her husband, and this dog Zeus. And I actually got a phone call after the session was over, and the woman was in tears, and she said, Mike just saved my relationship with my dog. She still, a couple of weeks later, still sending pictures and photos and saying that she felt bad that she was never able to connect with the dog to let the dog know what the dog should be doing and what the dog expected out of her. So and then she sent me an email and said with a photo of the dog just laying by her daughter in the kitchen, and she said, yesterday I'd be screaming chasing him as he runs away with all these toys, and today he just lays there not touching them. I can't thank Mike enough for helping me improve my relationship with my dog.
Right. So one of the things, we got a couple of minutes left, just to touch upon this, we do something called turbo dog training, which means this dog training is misunderstood even by dog trainers, to be very honest with you. So when we speak about Zeus, as Jackie said, he became unmanageable. Everything got out of balance. The whole household was out of balance. If you started cooking, the dog was counter-surfing. Everything, if you saw the list of things, you would say, oh, my God. And my heart goes out, especially now you have a young baby running around. You're trying to manage your household, then you have this 80-pound lab that's taking your chicken cutlets off off the counter. So we literally switch the energy in about 5 minutes because that's all we do. We don't care whether a dog sits or stays, rolls over, gives high five. We want to balance the energy. So when the doorbell rings, the dog goes berserk. The dog's here, you're here. So it's always this balance. And it was very rewarding to me to go there, take Zeus, and
because he's a good dog, he wasn't doing anything wrong. He just wasn't understanding what his owners wanted out of him.
And she said to me, "This was the last chance." Again, that's not somebody who's given up on her dog. She spent thousands and thousands of dollars on trainers, on daycare facilities, pet care, food. So this wasn't somebody who just said, "All right, the dog peed on my rug. I want to get rid of him." She tried everything, but unfortunately, it was the wrong thing. Dog behavior is as simple as riding a bicycle. Once you understand how to ride a bicycle, it's done. It's over. It's simple.
Okay, so we have to wrap up, but there's a couple things I want to remind everybody of. Right. So the holidays are next week. Every Hounds Town location is participating in some sort of toy or food drive for their local shelter. So don't forget to drop off donations. And if you need to know what they need, you can go on their social media pages. Hounds Town USA is our corporate page. You can also go on houndstownusa.com to find information about any of the other locations and what they're collecting. So be sure to do that.
Talk about our locations really quick, where we're expanding to, where they are on Long Island.
Well, we have 5 locations here on Long Island, soon to be 7. We have Hicksville and Garden City, which is going to be opening very soon. Yeah. Both of those locations, actually, in the next two months. So we'll keep everybody up to date on that.
So we'll have 7 locations on Long
Island. Yes, that is correct.
All right.
And I guess let's leave off with, so at Hounds Town Ronkonkoma, we're filming a fun Christmas play the night before Christmas, which we're going to release on our social media page, Hounds Town Ronkonkoma. And of course, we'll share it on Hounds Town USA on Christmas Eve. So you want to be sure to tune in December 24th, sometime after probably 4 or 5 p.m. when we will release our Hounds Town Christmas play. You won't want to miss it. It's super cute. For more information on anything Hounds Town, go to houndstownusa.com. And we will see everybody next time. Have a wonderful, happy holiday.
Ho, ho, ho.